So the story of Honda is seriously impressive. As you can see behind me, they started off making engines for bicycles. It was a really difficult time. It was not long after World War II, and there was, a real need for something different, for something exciting. And starting off, just literally putting on little engines on bicycles was the start of the Honda story. Yet what's probably more amazing was how quickly the story evolved. It was just 1961 before Honda won their first TT. Now, as you can see behind me, this is the first TT racer. In 1959, they made what was an almost unthinkable trip to what is the greatest race in the world. Now, at the time, this was amazing. This was something that hadn't been done before, especially for a Japanese company to come and enter the Isle of Man was just unbelievable. And to win in 1961 was something that was almost, it was almost an impossibility. But it wasn't just about racing that made Honda special. It was, their desire to push the limits, whether that is performance or even if that's appearance. So when you look at their C70, it took cues from even Japanese infrastructure. So for example, the mudguards were modelled on Japanese architecture, and that beauty was replicated by other brands around the world. And then we come to the absolute gems. You've got the models like the Honda Super Cub C100. Now, you look at this machine and it has powered so many people's lives. In 2017, they made the 100th millionth model of the Super Cub. And as you can see, it still stayed true to its roots. It still stayed that beautiful, easy, friendly silhouette that made it the success and, really started to make Honda's story. And coming to this collection hall and seeing some of the incredible models really just highlights that. But I think we should go and have a look at some of the more modern stuff and get involved in that. So yeah, let's rock and roll. At the same time as Honda were building bikes, they were doing some really other cool stuff as well, such as building the Suzuka racetrack. Now, as you can see behind me, these were 3 models that were actually racing at the first Japanese national event when Suzuka opened in 1962. So it wasn't just about, building bikes, it wasn't just about building automobiles, going to race in F1. It was about, going the extra mile. But at the same time, it wasn't just about racing and just about performance as well. As you can see behind me, these were 2 incredibly popular machines, the CB450 and the CB750. Now, these models were, the original performance bikes, and they still look beautiful to this day. If you look at classic retro models, they're now sort of built to replicate that era, and you can still see how distinctive they are today. And, it's not just about performance either, because you've still got the likes of the Monkey. If you look at the original Z100, that came out in 1961. It was built by Honda in order to, get more kids on bikes, to get them to enjoy 2 wheels. But because adults were enjoying them so much, the range just built and built and built and is still on sale to this day. It is just incredible. Now, at the same time, Honda were about performance, but they're also about, helping out the people. They wanted to be a company that did more than just build automobiles. And they built outboard motors, generators. This was an era where the world was changing. People, wanted to look after the environment a little bit more. And in a world that was dominated by 2-strokes, Honda came in with the cleaner 4-stroke. Well, it's been a success. Come on, let's go to the next section. So as we've been riding the modern CBs, with the arrival of the CB1000F, it would be impossible to come here and not just glance over this absolute row of legends here. So this is the CB collection, which is currently on show at the Honda Collection Hall, and it has everything. From the 1980s, you've got your CB250 RS, you've got Spencer's race bike, which hopefully, we might have the chance to hear start up in a little bit as well. It's just amazing how you come here, you almost forget some of these models. You forget how important they are. You forget how many they are and, you know, the impact that they've had on motorcycling. And it is truly, truly incredible. Now, let's see what we've got next. So now we're going to take a trip to the dirtier side of things. And in 1972, we have Honda's first off-road range. Now at this point, sort of motocross and stuff was really taking off. And the ethos was that if we're going to go and build off-road bikes, we need to build the best. Now we've got a really nice lineup of, you know, some original stuff here. We've got the RC 500M from 1979, which won the world title. And then we also have the legendary Paris-Dakar bikes. So in 1982, Honda won their first Paris-Dakar, which at the time was a brutal, grueling race like it is now. But back then, it was unbelievable. To take one of them wins was something special. And I think that's what highlights the diversity, because if we roll the camera this way, we have Honda's first GL 1500 Goldwing. Now, this bike was built without the sort of, you know, the restraints, built to appeal to the American audience. And when you look at it now, the Goldwing is still built, it's still loved, it's evolved over all these years. And I think it sort of goes to show how spot on Honda were with, you know, a lot of their models, with a lot of their designs, with, you know, the foresight into the future. It's incredible how their machinery has stood the test of time. And if we keep on going, we're gonna find even more, I reckon. So let's go. I know it's not a bike, but I feel like we can make an exception for these McLaren Hondas, driven by Senna. Even just watching videos of him driving these things. I mean, I know Honda have had success in motorcycling, but in four wheels in this era, it was incredible. And those cars are beautiful, aren't they?
They certainly are.
Oh, absolutely are. All right, come on, let's go back to two wheels. So we're back to the Grand Prix paddock. So Honda have been ducking in and out, you know, F1, of World Championship motorcycle racing. And in 1979, they made the return. So it wasn't a particularly successful year in 1979, but their innovation and, you know, the ideas, the incredible work they put in would lead to so much success in this era. So if you look in 1981, we had the NR 500. And then if we just I'll move out the way a little bit just so you can see these absolute beauties. The NS 500, the NSR 500. Oh, look, you know, you've got Fast Freddy, you've got Wayne Gardner. These times are just legendary. I still watch YouTube videos of these legends being muscled around, and it is just sensational. I love modern racing, I love modern MotoGP, but these things, and especially looking at them up close like that, it's special. It does something to your soul. I just absolutely love them. So now we're getting a little bit closer to 2026, and this era of Honda is incredible. You've got bikes like the NSR 250R, you've got the VFR 750R. I mean, just look at that. That has a place in every biker's heart. You're then moving on to the Africa Twin. You're then moving into the Fireblade era. Now, we don't have a 92 sitting here. We've got straight a 94. Then we're getting into the 2000s, and oh, just look at them. They are stunning. These bikes sort of help to define an era, and something that is really rare, something that you really don't see every day, is a Honda NR. Now, these bikes were built by hand. They were built to order. And I mean, oh, like, these are the sort of models that were aspirational at the time, and they are still aspirational now. You can see why, you know, Honda have that heritage and that reputation, because, you know, it's super, super special. And even to this day, even, you know, 30, 40 years on, they still look absolutely beautiful. Now, I reckon we can make our way to the early 2000s. So now we're getting into the 2000s, and this is sort of where I start to really remember Honda. And one of my sort of earlier memories, one of the ones that sort of sticks with me, is watching Valentino Rossi absolutely dominate on the iconic Repsol Honda. And here behind me, we have the RC211V, arguably one of the best, if not the best racing motorcycles ever created. Now, this thing with Valentino on board was just exceptional. And you look at it now, I know modern bikes are beautiful with all their wings, but when you look at modern MotoGP bikes with all their wings, ride height devices, you know, their shape shifting, they don't sort of appeal to some people because they don't look like your super bike you can buy or your super sport bike you can buy. This thing, it just looks so pure, it looks so gorgeous. And that RC has just evolved over time. Now, this is the point where I was absolutely loving MotoGP. I was well into it. I was old enough to sort of follow it, have my heroes, and Casey Stoner on that Honda was incredible. I just look at that and I think of him sliding through turn 3 at Phillip Island. The names that Honda have had on their bikes is just incredible. Even in recent years, you've got Rossi, you've got Stoner, and then you've got arguably the greatest all time in Marc Marquez, who took that RC213V to so much domination and so many world titles. And then the beauty of it is that next to it, we have the road-going model, the RC213VS. So this was a limited run produced by Honda. It is a MotoGP bike for the road. Now, we haven't seen one since this was released in 2015. We had Ducati's Desmo Sedici before that in 2006. And I really hope we get to see another one in the future. Now, this sort of brings us bang up to date with where we are now in the Honda Collection Hall. I really wanted to come and give you guys a tour to show you this because we've had a walk round, and honestly, I am just in absolute metal heaven. Now, I really hope you've enjoyed this video. I really hope you've enjoyed this experience. I've had an amazing time being able to see how Honda develop their bikes, how they test them, being able to talk to their test riders, being able to spend time with them, see how they think, see what they feel, see how they make their decisions. It's sort of given me a far greater understanding of, you know, what makes a Honda. And, you know, to come and experience the heritage, the history, you know, this has been an absolute bucket list dream come true. So I really hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and please like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.